Very good afternoon. Again, it was good to get that win on the road last week. Going back to the Rutgers game, again, defense with some good stats and third down and some stops and really battled. And I think we gave up the one long play early. They score on the touchdown fumble return, and then they score after the kickoff return with their 3 touchdowns. So one big play after that, defense was good. They did at the end of the game defensively, a little bit though, our Maryland game at the end wasn't as strong. Michigan State, we gave up the score late. Ball State at the end, we gave up some points. So even in some of the successes, we hadn't finished as strong defensively. I know Coach Allen's talked about that with the kids and wants them to keep moving, but a lot to build on there. Offensively, we had some numbers in the pass game. Run game, 2 big plays, not anything after that. Didn't block well. Line of scrimmage, tight ends need to do better. We did have the ball many times across the 40 and didn't score, which has been a little bit of a recurring theme. Because we move the ball, but we need to have point production to relate to that, and that keeps us in games or keeps us from winning games. Kicking last week with a really good kicker and a proven kicker. We actually started the game with Del Grosso kicking the first 2 kickoffs, both of which he mishit. He had a little bit more pop in his leg, but again, with the hold, the spot protections, we had many issues there we've all talked about. And again, we're not going to win with that kind of play this week or any week moving forward, with a rival game and a road game and a tremendous team coming this week with the 3-down stretch. So we got a lot to clean up. People that played well, Robert McCray, really good game up front, 2 tackles, an assist, a TFL sack, 2 quarterback knockdowns, played really hard, made a great play on a quarterback scramble on 3rd and 14, caught a kid from behind to make it 4th and 2. We had several tackles. T. Gray Scales made 1 early in the game, second quarter I think it was, to hold him to 4th and 1. Marcelino Ball made a tackle holding them to 4th and 1 where they missed a field goal. That play by Robert McCray making it 4th and 2, forcing them to punt. We had a lot of plays at the chains where our defense did a good job keeping leverage on the ball, tackling the defender, tackling him backwards, not allowing the chains to move. It was good to see. So, but McCray really good up front, great effort play on the 1. Marcus Oliver, really good game. It's 9 tackles, a fumble recovery. Probably, I think our coaches felt first time he ran the defense. He's been out there and he's played a lot and he's been a good player, but his presence, communication, body language, really taking ownership. I know Coach Allen and Coach Inge felt by far the best he had been, just being the guy of the defense and getting them set and also playing a good football game himself. He's played a lot of good games, but sometimes when you're playing your game, it's hard to be a strong leader. He played a great game and he was a strong leader, and that was a great, great step. Fletcher didn't play enough to get in the championship mode, but had 2 tackles for loss. The big sack there at the end was awesome. John Crawford and Chase Dutra, both at safeties, had championship grades. 8 tackles for John. Best he's played in a couple weeks. Chase Dutra, 4 tackles, doing a great job in special teams as well. And both corners, Rashard Fant with 3 tackles, a tackle for loss, and a PBU, and Ashawn Riggins, 5 tackles. Those were good defensively. Offensively, Dan Feeney, 6 knockdowns. He played 2 positions, kind of back, full flow, looking good. Divine Redding had 73 yards rushing, 32 yards catching, and 2 touchdowns. So 105 yards of total offense and 2 TDs. Was really great in pass pro as well, his best game there. Our 3 receivers had some plays, Westbrook, Jones, and Page. Nick with 5 catches for 80 yards, 3 big plays. Ricky Jones, 5 for 65, and several big plays, including the fumble recovery. Mitchell Page, 6 for 100 yards. And then our quarterback, Rich, had the 2 picks. One, he didn't go through the progression right, needed to throw a swing route. And the other play, he just needed to not try to force one in on a greedy play to Mitchell, but came back off of that. His 3rd down throws in the 4th quarter, standing in the pocket, going through progressions from 1 to 2 to 3 to a couple great 3rd down shots was huge. Some things to clean up, but he was 70%, 72% on target. He's got 1 throw away on the screen. You take that out, he's 28 to 39, so he played a pretty good game. Clean up the mistakes. Again, defensively, we talked about the 3 and outs. Offensively, we scored early, and we had a good answer late. We did have some glitches that needs to be cleaned up. Had some great kicking effort from Isaac James that we recognize as our special team player of the week. Was outstanding couple teams. Luke Timian was very strong in a couple teams. Zeke Walker's punt block. I think we now lead the Big Ten in block kicks, which is a positive. We got to clean up the fumble that Mitchell had that didn't haunt us. The kickoff fumble by D. Will was a concern. Gideon had some strong punts. The sky punts were good and a couple good punts. Players of the game, defensively, 2, Ashawn Riggins and Marcus Oliver. Both guys from the same high school, Hamilton High School in Cincinnati area, Ohio. But freshman, and our team leader, 2 really strong games. Offensively, Ricky Jones, several big plays, the fumble recovery, been playing great as a senior down the stretch, a lot of juice and energy. I mentioned Isaac James. Justin Berry was our offensive scout, along with Sean Bonner. Sean's a tight end. Justin's a wide receiver out of South Carolina, both freshmen. And defensively, Garrett Lukens, who's a transfer. His brother played for us a year ago as a walk-on lineman. But Garrett's going to be a good young player for us. It's transferring in. And Johnny Albamonte, who's really doing a great job in the scout deals. A lot of things to clean up. Still good to clean up after win, but a lot of things to address. We addressed a little bit of that yesterday, started our prep work today. We're on to what is a really good team. Penn State is coming in playing really hot, really good, won 5 in a row. Should be, I think they're 12-14 in 2 polls. Interesting to see Tuesday night, but they were 12th with 2 teams in front of them losing. Might be a top 10 team by the college football playoff deal. They lose to Pitt, they lose at Michigan, but since then they're playing outstanding. Offense is going up and down the field. They've always played great defense, and they're putting together a good kicker, a good punter in the kick game. They're led by the running back, Barkley, who's the leading rusher in the conference, a very dynamic player. Their quarterback, McSorley, they're a good 1-2 package, and they throw the ball with 230 a game. And those 2 guys with the spread and the zone read are doing great. A couple great big receivers outside with Godwin and Hamilton. Their tight end, Gesicki's playing outstanding. And as always, they got safeties at linebackers, and they're getting after it up front, with Sickles and Schwann. So they're good up front. They're good in the back end. It's a typical Penn State team that comes in playing very good. It'll be a good challenge for us. I know our guys are excited. We're going to need a really good week. And we're going to need to be better than we were last week, and we got a lot of things to fix. So with that, we'll see what questions you got.
Penn State has had like 18 sacks in the last 3 games. You certainly got after Ohio State. Certainly the last 3 games. What are they doing? Something differently? Is it just strong defensive line play? Are they blitzing a lot?
They pick their spots to blitz, and they do pressure, but it's really just their front. And in some of these games, they've done a really good job of getting the team one-dimensional and getting them in situations, and then their D-lines are really just pushing the pocket and playing hard. They're playing a lot of guys defensively. Their one defensive end is having a great year. They moved a really big athletic defensive end to D-tackle that's very explosive inside. So they're playing a lot of guys. You look at their snap numbers and the guys that are playing. They're throwing a lot of bodies at you. They're stopping the run. They're getting you one-dimensional. The offense is making some big plays, and all of a sudden it gets 31-10, 31-14, and you start throwing a little bit, and they pin their ears back. And they played really strong down these last few weeks, really gotten after the quarterback. Nature of how they're playing as a team, nature of the score, and then stopping the run, and they've gotten after it really good. It'll be a challenge for our linemen and our whole offense.
I think you were asked about this a little bit Saturday, but just as you watch film, how effective was Dan when he was being asked to rotate between guard and tackle there?
Yeah, I mean, his only issue was when you play guard, you line up a little bit behind the center. And so sometimes you're used to looking, I'm a little bit behind the guy. Well, he got called for a penalty for lining up behind the guard at tackle, and he was in the backfield because, and I'm like, hey, now, our tight end's off the ball. That was the tight end you saw. And they said no. And then we kind of put it together, and he just, so he had a misalignment. But as far as assignments and playing hard, and again, Delroy and Devondre Love, those guys can help us at tackle. They'll play. But Jake Bailey's a good player, so it just gets our best 5 on the field. And Dan's mature enough, and he's long enough that he can play the tackle spot. He can play all 5 spots at the college level. So, I mean, he'll play a little bit of both this week, I'm sure. We didn't think that was wrong. We just thought the combination of him playing, he's kind of back where I don't know if he plays all the game, but he can play a lot of it. And then that takes a little bit off of Jacob Bailey's plate and a little bit off of Delroy's plate. And collectively, those 3 guys will handle those 2 spots on the right if we stay healthy and fortunate there.
You mentioned Brandon wouldn't need surgery, but do you anticipate being able to get him back?
Yeah, I don't know here with 3 remaining, but I think he's into that 3, 4, 5 weeks. Just it's leg injury don't require surgery, but just it's like pain tolerance and strength level, and again, he's a young guy. And so if we're fortunate enough to be a bowl team, I don't know if you even rush him back for the bowl, but I think he'll be pretty good by then. We'll just, it's kind of risk and reward and no guarantees. You just kind of move with that and see. So, but right now, he's not day to day. He's week to week. He's probably a few weeks out, and it'll be a stretch here by the season's end. We'll see, but he'll drink a lot of milk and rub a lot of dirt on it between now and then if that happens.
What was the team Divine Ready improve as a running back, and just as the years have gone on? How have you seen him most change?
I think initially, I think he ran a little tight and rigid. I think last year at the end of the season, he relaxed and became a little bit more fluid, where he made more cuts, where I think early was just, he was trying to go hard. And I think, he's ran faster. He's just been more relaxed and he's made more cuts. He is a really great practice player. I mean, if you watch guys that practice on a daily basis, for us, I think you would grade he and Dan Feeney on offense as two of the best practice players. That just, they give you what you got. And, Coach McCullough does a great job of managing reps so that their volume, they'll be intense and you don't fatigue them. So, again, he's got great practice habits. He had some good stats the other day, which was hard running and tough sledding. His pass pro was awesome. The best has been. So sometimes, too, when you're playing without the ball. Those receivers had a bunch of really good plays, but you look at it was 5 catches, it was 6 catches, it was 5 catches. Well, what are you doing the other 40, 50, 60 snaps of the game? I think that's a credit to Divine. He's gotten better as a runner, 4 really good catches the other day, but he's getting complete as a good pass proer. So he's maturing, and Dealin does a great job coaching those guys, too.
What impressed you most when you were recruiting him, and what impressed you just for him as a person?
Well, we had him at camp, and that's a good question because, it was a little bit of a reach. You're not sure. He was transferring from school to school, going from a really good school in Ohio to Glenville, and then he wasn't allowed to play a lot of that year with the transfer rules. So you almost get worried, like, what's it going to be? What we got is we got a kid that's got, like the other day, his dad just showed up at practice. We got a kid that comes from a great family, and there was a lot of pride, and there's a lot of workmanship. He's a blue-collar kind of kid, and he comes to work every day. And you didn't really, sometimes you think you know that in recruiting, but that's hard to tell. And so I think, fortunately, we got a kid, like we always say, we want a better person than a player. And I would tell you that he's a better kid than what you see on the field, and he's a really good football player. But I think the combination, too, has made him really come along. And, again, we thought he'd be a good player, but he would not be as good as he is without him being the person he is and the way he works. If we had more players that approach it like that, we'd have a lot of kids playing a lot better football. He does a great job of prepping and growing and coming. He's a fun kid to coach because he buys what you sell. He's really good.
Percentage of snaps that Dan played at right tackle as opposed to right guard, was that number basically what you went into the game hoping to see, or was it just kind of feeling out?
I couldn't even tell you the numbers, and I don't think Greg had a deal. It's just, you want to get Bailey out there, see how Dan's doing. If Dan's struggling, go with Delroy. But I think he'd prefer to play the 2 older guys a little bit more. But what the numbers were, I don't know. I know there's some crunch times where, Delroy was in there. There's a couple of times I'm like, hey, I'm doing this, put Dan back out there, because there's certain things I just wanted a little bit more of a veteran guy based on certain situations we were in. I don't know what the numbers were.
Being on the verge of a bowl game for the second time, back-to-back years, is there anything you tell your team to kind of take a step back and not try to press to get that 6th win, to put too much pressure on that?
Well, to me, you're always pressing to have your best week. Now, you don't want to squeeze too tight, but our deal is we again haven't handled success good, and so you got a couple, and we didn't even play well the other day. So again, and is that maybe one of the reasons we were not as clean? That running game goes from a lot of yards to not a lot of yards. And the week before, we just blocked hard and played hard more than scheme and play call. Last game, the other team, their defensive front played harder than our guys, I felt, and got off blocks and defended the run. So, we're not. We just talk about the process of the week. A week ago, it's like it's a game we had to win. Our guys like, you got to win them all. You're approaching each game, and you're doing what you can to win this game. And you don't look at the total, and you don't look at what's to come. It's just, here's today, and here's the plan for this week. And you start it over. We come in Sunday and grade it. And when they walk in here Sunday night, it's okay, boom. Now Monday, we've changed gears. In our practice mode, Thursday's our recovery day. So we come in Sunday, and we clean up mistakes. We don't talk a lot about the next team, very, very slightly. We talk about what we just did. We come in today, and we've moved on to the next game. And we just get involved with the week. So it's hard because, they're going to read, listen. Everybody's got Twitter. Everybody follows whatever. So they're going to hear comments. You just can't make sure that the comments, distract you from you doing your job. And our job is we got to prepare and play well, because if we don't play better than last week, we're not going to have a good outing Saturday. And we got things that got to be corrected. We got to learn, we got to put together a game plan. We got to grow and put it together this week. And then win, lose, or draw, which ain't no draws anymore, but win or lose, you got to do it again. And that's the process we talk about, period. And it's corny, but that's if you look at we don't look at the big picture till it's over. And you go back and look at what you collected. And so our deal is going to take our best effort. It's going to take our best week. It's a strong challenge. It's a great team we're playing. And we're going to need to have a great week to have a chance. And that's all we're talking about.
Rich earlier, but has he gotten better at shaking off some of those mistakes? And maybe is that just a factor of time and experience for him?
Think so. He appeared a lot better in the game. Again, I think some of those, fourth quarter throws, standing in there and going through on a couple critical third downs when it's, I think, a 2-point game or whatever it was, and making those plays was great to see, because been there before, got a little rattle flush, eyes off target, didn't go through the progression, and the first guy wasn't there. And a couple times he had to move some defenders to fit a throw, and he had to actually move, a flat defender to throw a corner route on the first one to Nick Westbrook, or to get really to his third progression on a third down, which I think he threw the one to Mitchell. Okay, one's not there, two could come to three. So to go through progressions was good. And so again, he's gaining. I think Xander playing a little bit and him coming on the bench, I think it helps him too. I think he likes that. And I think he's becoming a good teammate. And not that he ever was. I think he likes Xander playing. I think they pull for each other. And I think there's a little bit of, even though Xander didn't have as much, and he had one big play and he had one negative play, I think, him just coming back and forth, I don't think it feels like he gets cold there. We didn't play that as much last game. It didn't work as well. We had one critical error. But I think the combination of those two, I think maybe it takes a little bit of pressure off of Richard. But he had to play the other day where they loaded the box and we needed to block better, but he had to make a lot of those one-on-one throws, and those kids had to make a lot of one-on-one competitive plays. And there was a bunch of one-on-one plays, and we made our fair share, and that was good to see. That's 2 weeks in a row now. You go from 400 running one game to 400 passing one game. And, we didn't get away from the run. It didn't work statistically well, but then you had to get to the next element of the offense. It was nice to see the next element come through, and it's not perfect, as good as we want, as good as it can be or we want it to be, but it's kind of good to kind of get a little bit of that going back and forth a little bit. We need that.
One-on-one plays from your receivers. Ricky Jones made a lot of different kind of plays. Fumble recovery was obviously huge. You talked to him about, NFL scouts look at multifaceted stuff, special teams play, all that kind of stuff. What is Ricky giving you now as a senior heading down the stretch?
First thing he gives us just a great attitude, great body language, and great juice in the building. Just having fun, showing up, ready to have a good meeting and good body language, and into the meeting, out and stretch. He knows, I think, much like Divine, that Coach Johns will work the practice reps where he's not going to gas him. So when you run around, go hard and run at full speed, and run that little skinny post in there, and run that little stop route, and run your comeback, and run your go, and we'll work the reps where we don't tire you, but go full speed. So I think he's matured where he trusts what's going on, and he's a really good practice player. And so a little bit of that's maturity, a little bit of that's mindset. But he shows up every day as we got some guys that come in the building every day having fun in the process of the week and going through it, and he's one of the best we got. It's when your seniors and veterans are the guys that are most into the meeting, doing the best job stretching, leading the fundamental drills, covering the kicks, as well as having the offensive plays. It's volumes to the program. That's a sign of strength that your veterans and seniors and leaders are buying what you're trying to do. Appreciate and respect those cats. Mitchell Page, those guys, they've been. That's a good. There's not a lot of seniors. Only about 9 of them. You got the couple 3 linemen with Bailey Feeney and Wes Rogers. So you got 2 starters, part-time guy, and you got the 2 receivers. And defensively, you're playing Ralph, and Fletcher plays a little bit. It's the rest of it's a bunch of sophomores and juniors and some freshmen playing. It's not a lot of seniors, but the seniors we got are giving us good goes. Ralph had a lot of energy the other day. Was in the backfield making good plays. Dawson Fletcher. It's good to see those seniors really playing good football down the stretch. Because to be a good team, you got to have good seniors. We're going to have a lot, but they got to be good, and that's good for our football program.
You're talking about the kicking game. What can be done with the protection at this point?
Well, I think some of it comes back to we've been a little bit inconsistent with the hold. And because we're a little inconsistent with the hold, I think our kicker's a little hesitant and a little late getting started because I think he's not trusting where the spot's going to be. So sometimes you're blocking certain guys based on some timing. And you're beating an edge guy with time. So we had one the other day off the edge where we were slow. Matter of fact, we had a kid that was on offense, ran off the field, turned around and had to come back on the field. And he was honored as academic all-district, all-American, whatever, the other day. So like he just doesn't have intelligence. But all of a sudden, he, on the 5-year-old, he ran off the field. You know, he was fighting with a little bit of an injury he had going on. So he had mentally, he was dealing with some stuff. I mean, not a minor thing, but, you know, he just, you know, he was dealing with something. I think he was just a little funky. So, you know, we've been a little inconsistent. You know, we'll figure out with the hold what's going on. There's a couple things you can do scheme-wise, but bottom line, it's, you know, Rutgers, you know, got 2 on us. Penn State got 2 against Ohio State, a block punt, and, you know, a block field goal. Is, you know, they scored 24 points. They get 10 off of kicking because a block punt gets them 3, and the block field goal is a kick 6. You know, they run it back. And so they win that game with block kicks. It's going to be huge. So we'll work it. I don't think, though, the way our kickers have kicked, that we can overkick our kickers. I think our kickers are getting a little psychotic, and we got to work through the mental demon. But I don't think I need to pound the kid's legs because there's only so many swings in that leg. And so we'll work some fundamental work, and we'll get addressed with either scheme or personnel. But we're going to put a team out there this week that's going to be confident they're going to make kicks because this time of year and the games we're playing, they're going to have to make kicks if we're going to win. And they're capable, but they're going to have to get the job done.
But it's not a case of bringing other people into that protection scheme. You stick with the guys you got and just.
Oh, we've had some changes as the years went along between who we started with tight ends, wings. I mean, there's been, you know, and so we'll look at that. But at the same time, too, you know, it's not a hard play, and just do your job. It takes to score points. It takes 11 guys to do their job, and that kicking team's not the kicker. It's 11 guys, and as a team, that was addressed with that team yesterday, and it's the entire team's fault. And the entire team will work as a group and answer the problem, or the entire team will be the problem. And we just put it on them. You're going to fix it as a group because your group is accountable to perform, and that group needs to answer the call because they'll get challenged by Penn State. Michigan's doing a great job, and Purdue will in the last game because we've opened up a can of worms. So come get it. So we're going to have to answer the call.
Xander, is there anybody else that
Yeah, we'll look at it again. Again, to me, you know, Mitchell was my thought from the beginning because he's such a competitive guy, and he's got the most. But we worked a little bit here in our work today, and we'll see as we go through the week. The one thing I don't think I can do at this time of year with kick volume is I cannot overkick the kicker's legs. And we do have several kickers that have the legs. It's not a leg issue. Functioning as a team, getting the whole spot, and some confidence with our kickers, all we need.
Can you use, and maybe you already used other things, sports psychologists when you have a player that potentially either lack of confidence or whatever, and not just the kicker, but it could be the holder, it could be all of them get together, but the sports psychologist kind of try to work through the mental part of it?
You can, and we have one we have several on campus, but our department has one. At the same, you know, sometimes you do worry. I've worried since I've been here, again, about the noise and voices, who you're talking to. And, for example, like during the game, and I can get all fired up and competitive. During the game, I was very calm with the kicker. I said, now look, you've got a million great kicks. So calm down, go ahead and get the spot, and make the next one, period. Because when you can't do it, you got a problem. Okay, you know the guy can. And I use, Fish has heard my analogy, but I mean, when McElroy flopped at the Masters several years ago, and you can't hide. But to come back a month or two later, and it is either the British U.S. Open, you got to be good enough to flop. And then you got to get past that. And very few people are great enough not to flop. Because you got to be good enough to know this is what I expected, and all of a sudden, I didn't make the shot. Like Michael Jordan, I missed a lot more game winners than I ever hit. I struck out a lot more than I ever hit home runs. So that the misses are there. It's now getting to the point of just going. And sometimes it's the old, like I did the analogy of the old Gary Barnett years ago at Northwestern when the monkey reaches in and grabs the banana and he can't let his hand out because once you got it, you got to let go to pull it out. Sometimes you got to let go of some things because you're holding on to it so fast you can't move forward. Sometimes to release, you got to let it go and you got to move on. And so I'm actually a pretty good sports psychologist when I want to be. So just like, hey man, come on. You know, I mean, it's hard to be a sports psychologist when a guy can't. The guy can, and like, hey man, you know, you tell me the whole you want, and then we got to work at it. We're not just going to show up, but we got, you know, what gives me confidence is I saw the kick he made to win a big game. I saw the kick he made right before half into the win early in the year, which is a huge kick for us. So I saw last year the best kicker in the conference. And it's not like he's not working. Matter of fact, if he has a problem, he's trying and he's carrying too daggum much. Let it go, and we'll move forward. But he'll need to answer the call. But last week, too, Del Grosso is a good enough kicker. That's why I kicked him off first. I would have told you last week in practice, Aaron kicked better than Griff on kickoffs. That being said, Griff was great Saturday in kickoffs, and I said, either your leg was feeling better or psychologically you were ticked off. He said it was the second one, because competition is sometimes a great ally of the coach.
What's the availability of Mike Majette this week?
He's got an ankle injury, and he's going to be probably a couple weeks. So he's kind of out. Anything else?
The 40-yard touchdown catch on Saturday. I mean, what's he doing well right now? And I guess what areas just maybe still need to...
Well, again, he's, like you look at our receiver deal. A year ago, Jay Sean had an injury. It took 11 months before he was cleared. This guy's now not quite 7 months. I think it'll be 7 months next week from his injury. So he's way ahead of schedule, and he's out there playing in Big Ten games in Big Ten arenas. I think Mike or someone asked the question afterwards, like, hey, is that what you see in practice? That's what we have seen. Recently, we've seen inconsistency because of mood swing. I want to play more. I'm frustrated. So hopefully making that play, and the more he gets on the field, will energize his mood as he's fighting through injury to be full speed. He's not quite there, but just to jumpstart him and just to get him going, because he's not a bad, but every kid doesn't mean to be. They get a little selfish. They all want the ball. They all want to be the starter. And, here's a kid that had to go through a sit-out year. Then you're ready to play, and I get injured. And now it's, he's wanting to come back faster. And to me, he's a heck of a kid that's way ahead of schedule. And he's done nothing wrong. I think he's fighting through some of the moods and psychological things that a lot of people doing different. Our kicker's dealing with one. I think Cam's been dealing with one. And I think the more he has success on the field, he will blossom back to being what I don't think he's quite 100%. He's close. But, he's so talented. I mean, you saw, quote, a play. There's a lot of plays in that kid if we can just keep bringing him along. And that'll be our plan. Okay? All right, guys.